how he
It's
got...
not a Longwood Gardens camera?
It's my understanding that they allow some others to put cameras on their property, and that individual provided the information.
Any idea how he got the supplies? Were these the result of burglaries?
I can't confirm at this point where he got those supplies. Again, obviously, picked them up somewhere along the way, so obviously he got into a structure, a car, something, and obtained some clothing. In fact, we have the pictures up here now. You can see from this picture, he's got a sling-type duffel bag. You can also see shoulder straps in another photo here that you'll see in just a minute. He's got a backpack on his back as well, so he's got 2 packs. He also, in another picture you'll see, he's obtained a hooded sweatshirt. If we can... And so what I would tell you is that, I mentioned that there were 2 different times. So what we believe happened is he walked into that area, was likely not well oriented, headed north, probably ran into the perimeter, realized he couldn't go that way, and turned the opposite direction and came back through the camera a second time. So this is when, with the pack on and the hoodie, he's headed north actually here, and then about roughly an hour later is coming back south without the hoodie on.
That photo is from when? 9:30?
So it's, let me get the time here. It was, the time is an hour off. That's depicted on the camera. I'm sorry, give me just a minute to find my times here. I'll get that for you here in just a minute. But it was about an hour apart. It was roughly 8:20 and 9:30.
We've heard 10:30 for the shirt off.
I understand that. Again, the time stamp on the photo should be the time stamp is an hour off. It's actually 9:30, and the other one was 8:30 or thereabouts. 9:33 is the one. 8:21 was the first one. So he's headed north at 8:21. It says 9:21, and then he's headed south at 9:33.
Are you widening the perimeter or moving it south? How would you describe it?
We're expanding the perimeter, but we're also eliminating the northern end of that perimeter. So the community that was surrounded by that won't be surrounded by it now. So if you went to the southern end of what we had established previously as a perimeter and go south from there, down and across Baltimore Pike, that would be the current area.
Does it make a mistake then, or is this just another successful attempt at evading authorities at this point?
Oh, I think he's absolutely succumbing to the pressure, and yes, he's trying to escape, and that's what he managed to do. He found a point that he could squeeze through that perimeter, and he traveled south. We'll now expand that perimeter and move it so that we can try and encapsulate him again, and we're already actively searching those areas.
It's been 6 days. I mean, do we know anything more about his background? Does he have any survival skills? I mean, he's been foraging clearly, he's been stealing stuff. What can you tell the public? I mean, this guy's clearly cunning, and he's been able to evade you guys for 6 days now.
We're not aware of any formal training in terms of survival skills. You're dealing with someone who's desperate and who doesn't want to be caught. And so if he can find something, some clothing, if he can find some shelter, if he can find some food, he is going to take advantage of whatever he finds. And that's why, again, we pressure him to not allow him the luxury of rest, and then we're asking the public to help us by making sure things are secure so that we can minimize his opportunities to obtain those things that he doesn't otherwise have. He doesn't have, to our knowledge, he doesn't have caches out there or any supplies that he can go to and obtain, as we've seen in some other searches we've done. That's not the case here. I believe this was just an opportunity that he took to get out of the jail, and once out, he's now winging it, and so he does what he has to do to try and avoid escape, or try and avoid capture.
From his mother to convince him to turn himself back in?
We have not since yesterday, and we'll have to evaluate whether we think that will be effective going forward.
Longwood Gardens is closed today. Are you going to be searching Longwood Gardens?
Longwood Gardens is closed, and we will be in that area, not only Longwood Gardens, but the entire area we will be pushing through.
You
walk to Delaware today, if he was able to walk that far, are you coordinating with officials in Delaware,
We
Delaware
are.
State Police? And does that change anything if he crosses the state line into Delaware?
It really doesn't. There's a federal warrant that the marshals have obtained for him. Again, it's federal warrant, so it covers us regardless of where he goes.
You would still be.
At this point, I don't believe he has made it to Delaware. I believe he's still well into Pennsylvania, and we're going to act on that and continue to pressure him. But at the same time, we always look at options. Even while we were looking at that perimeter, as I said to you yesterday, we follow up on any tip. We don't discount anything, and certainly that's why, you know, in this case it was a really solid tip. But we've had lots of others. We follow up on those as well, and on the chance that he has managed to get out of that area. And certainly, you know, even prior to this, we had already been coordinating with Delaware.
What's the latest on the investigation into how he was actually able to get out of prison? Is there any clarity on what happened?
My understanding is there's not going to be anything released on that right away. I think the investigation is still ongoing. I can tell you that there have been many interviews done, and both in an effort to investigate the escape, but also to assist us in looking at any plans, any contacts he may have had on the outside, that kind of thing. So that all factors into it, and unless the district attorney has something else to add, I would just say that we're not in a position to start releasing anything on that
What's
yet
the
today.
situation at the prison now? Are the inmates still on lockdown? Are there transports going in and out of there?
I can't answer that.
With the search, you all have been saying that it's a heavily wooded area. Can you describe to the public what that means, what you're going through the terrain? Because some people are saying, oh, why haven't you caught them yet? It's been 6 days. Where are the dogs? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Can you describe what it's like out there?
What I would describe to you, you know, again, you've heard me refer to other searches. I mean, the terrain here, while one would think, okay, we're not in the middle of a national forest or something else, what you have, though, are significant parcels of wooded area with a lot of undergrowth, so thick that our searchers can't be more than a couple of yards apart, or they at times lose sight of one another. It's so thick that they have to hack their way through or go around and try and make sure that they've still covered that area, because you can't walk through it. That's certainly not everywhere, but there are large patches of that kind of undergrowth in the woods. You know, additionally, one of the challenges that you have here that you don't have out in a larger forest is you've got people with large yards, parcels of land, multiple acres with outbuildings and, you know, shrubbery, landscaping, all kinds of things, sheds that afford an opportunity to hide. Again, none of it insurmountable, but it makes for additional challenges when you're searching those areas. There are a lot of places that someone can hide. And again, you would think, you know, we're in a closer to an urban area here, there wouldn't be all of these forests. There are. And
What's the long-term game plan here? I mean, it's been 6 days. If this goes into a 7th, 8th, goes into next week or a month, I mean, are you going to start scaling down resources or just keep throwing?
the long-term game plan is, as long as we believe we're being effective, and I do believe, we will continue with this search. We will continue a hard search, and we'll capture them. We've had searches that have gone well in excess of a month. We've kept the pressure on. He's a bad guy. He needs to be in custody, and we're determined to capture him. So as long as we have the ability to identify areas that are suitable for us to be searching, we will continue to do that. And again, I'm confident that in the long run, he will be captured.
You mentioned the hooded sweatshirt. What's the current description? Do you have a clothing description or any?
I don't have a color or anything on that sweatshirt yet at this point. We're still analyzing some things. One of the challenges is with a picture like this, it's you know, night vision or infrared, and so colors don't translate easily. We're having some people take a look at it and see if we can make a determination from it, but I don't have a color or anything to provide you at this point.
How did it come about that state police started leading the investigation, and moving forward, could that potentially change if this goes no longer?
Well, as I said, that was a decision that was made in conjunction with the district attorney's office. We looked at where that search area had expanded to, the types of resources and things that needed to be brought in. And so we've done these, and it seemed to be a natural progression. And again, nothing changed in terms of our working relationship. We've worked well with the DA's office, that continues. They're an integral part of this, this investigation, and I anticipate that state police will continue in the lead. You know, again, we'll have to assess that, but we've got our federal partners in here as well, and we're already coordinating with adjacent states. So, I mean, I think we're doing everything we can to ensure that we contain him as best we can until we capture him, and to have a contingency in place should he squeeze through again.
Did you guys do a push inward yesterday from the perimeter? Is that a
Yes.
technique to kind of push inward?
There was a push that was done because of an additional sighting. We were pushing through there anyway in different parts of the perimeter. But there was specifically a push that was done in response to a sighting from within the perimeter, and that continued on for several hours last evening and you know, well into the evening.
Slow walk, just everyone's moving towards the center to close the perimeter to make it smaller?
No, the perimeter stays intact, and we move additional people inside there, typically tactical team members, and we utilize them to come to push through and push toward the perimeter.
Just to clarify, so the FBI and Customs have just now joined, or they've been part of this to begin with? And to clarify, are all schools in the area closed then?
The FBI and Customs have been part of this from the standpoint that we have been working with them on some analysis and planning some other resources. They are sending some tactical teams and some equipment to join the search effective today. And I'm sorry, the other question was about the schools?
Yeah, are they all closed or just?
No, those two districts that I
Just the two
mentioned.
districts, okay.
What's the number of personnel on the ground?
You know, I couldn't give you a firm count. I would have to estimate
200?
200 or 250. It may be a little higher. And keep in mind, that's at any point in time. This is a 24-hour operation, so we're cycling people in and out.
Do you have any idea how many calls, how many tips you all have received? Is it in the hundreds, dozens?
Probably somewhere in excess of 100.
You mentioned the new search area is a little bit more open than remote and previous. Does this change any search methods going forward?
It doesn't change the methods. It changes the effectiveness of some of the technology. Some of it obviously is we're better served by it in some of the more open areas, but it really doesn't change the fact that our path forward here is to keep pressure on him and to search those areas, whether using technology, whether physically searching it, sweeping through. Even in the more open areas, there you still have, again, a lot of places to hide. Homes, businesses, you know, outbuildings, and on, that all present an opportunity for him and a challenge for us. But again, I'm confident that he will slip up. He did here. He walked into a trail cam, didn't know it. He'll slip up. We're making him move, and that's a good thing.
So you said one additional sighting yesterday. Does that mean it's 5 credible sightings now?
Yes, plus the trail cam.
Okay.
So the 5th would have been within the perimeter, and then now the trail cam just to the south of that old perimeter. Excuse me.
What do you say to the community now with these credible sightings? People out there, you know, posting on social media, they're afraid. What do you say to them to make them feel reassured in your efforts to find him?
I do understand and empathize with their concern. As a parent, you know, I would be concerned for my children's safety, grandchildren's safety as well. So I understand that. What I would tell them is, again, we're asking them to be alert, to just take, I don't know that there's such a thing as ordinary precautions, but use some common sense. You know, we're not trying to lock people down. At the same time, they should use some caution. They should be observant as to what's going on around their home, in their yard, that kind of thing. As I've mentioned, we're asking them to lock their vehicles. If they don't ordinarily do that, or ordinarily they would run in for a few minutes into the house and not lock their car, please lock the car. And pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to your neighbors. Anything that's unusual there, in the event they're not home, perhaps you know, we can get a call and end this quicker. But really, it's vigilance that we're looking for from people right now. He's clearly in escape mode, but he's desperate. So his history is that he's a dangerous individual, and I know that sounds contradictory. Well, he's dangerous, and I'm not saying locked down. If we identify that he's in a very specific area, my recommendation then would be stay in your homes. And we will message the people if we truly have him locked down into a very small area. Much like we used reverse 911 this morning, we have the ability to do that. We can use the Chesco alerts. We'll get word to people if we need them to take more decisive action. For right now, again, being alert and talking to us. Check your security cameras. Provide us any information that you think might be helpful.
So the people in Kennett Square around Longwood Gardens, they're still encouraged, like you said, to remain vigilant but not to lock down?
Correct. Again, I would be, if I were staying home and my home was in there, even while I was in the house, I would have my doors locked. But I wouldn't feel like I was a prisoner in my home. If I need to go to the store, I'm going to go out, get in my car, and go to the store. That's what I mean, I guess, when I say take some precautions, but at the same time, we're not asking people to stay as prisoners in their own homes.
Just really quickly, I know initially there was concerns that he had some contacts with family in the Phoenixville area. They've been consulted. Is there any dialogue there? Any chance he's been in contact with any of those relatives?
At this point, any interviews or anything else that we would have done will remain confidential at this point. I wouldn't want to disclose. But rest assured that any family, friends, associates, contacts even from jail, we have run all of those things out, and we continue to run those out, looking for anything that might be helpful. I believe we'll be sending these photos out. We'll make them available to you electronically if you would like those. And I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your assistance getting this word out to the public.
Another update today, or?
I don't know yet whether we'll see how things go today, but we'll certainly update you on a regular basis.